welcome back. I know it's been a long time, and for those of you who don't know, because I only posted 2 videos on this channel during NaNoWriMo, I won! Yay! So I made it to exactly 50,000 words in the month of November in one story, which I'm really, really proud of. So today I'm just going to talk to you about some things that I have learned during this NaNoWriMo. The first thing I learned this NaNoWriMo 2019 is that I personally write best at night. The majority of my words I got between like 9:30 p.m. and midnight, mainly because I'm a procrastinator and had to wait until like the last possible minute of the deadline in order to post my word count. But I just noticed that all my words flowed a lot better. I could get like 2,000 words in that time slot, whereas I tried writing on like live write-in streams and stuff that were at like 9 a.m. and I got maybe 600 words in 2 hours, and all of them were garbage. All the words were garbage. Of course, I didn't delete anything because it's NaNoWriMo, so every word counts no matter how bad it is, but that was definitely a challenge for me. And something great that I learned, I write best at night. So if I, get a phone call during the day and someone says, hey, what's your word count? I'm going to say, ask me at midnight. And I might be able to give you a really good solid number. So that's number one that I learned. Going into that, number two is that I think 2,000 words a day per story is kind of my sweet spot. If I go anything over that, I tend to get really drained out and like I don't want to work on the story anymore. For example, I had like 2 but really one word day that was over 5,000 words, and it was 5,000 in that one story, and I was exhausted. By the end of it, I was like, I don't ever want to look at this story again, and it really shows because all the days after that, I had 183 words, 837 words, 389. Like, it was just not a good week for me because I started it off so great. So then, for whatever reason, my brain was like, well, you already figured out your words for the week, so you don't need to do any more than that, which, is fun. And then I do feel good, though, because I know I can do more than 2,000 words. For example, on the last day, on the 29th, I didn't want to do it anymore. I was like, okay, this is it. I'm winning this year. I hate it. I had 7,189 words left, and that is the exact amount of words I did that day. I did no more. I did a little less at the very end. I had like 42 words left, and I was like, are you kidding me? Ah! So then I ended up writing like those 39 words or whatever, and I only had 38. And so then my last word is just my main character's name because I just needed that to hit 50,000 exactly, and it drove me nuts. But then at the end of that day on the 29th, because I had written 7,189 words, I never wanted to look at my story again. I was exhausted. It like completely mentally drains me to put that much work into one project. I think just because you're sitting there focused on it for so long and your brain wants to be working on other things. So 2,000 words. 2,000 words is my sweet spot. It's my limit for each day, for each project, and I think that that's perfect. That's a great thing to learn. Going into what I was just kind of saying, the third thing I learned is that I need to be working on multiple projects at once. My brain just functions way better if it can think about so many different things. I don't know if that's ADD or if I'm just creative or what, but if I work like 2,000 words on my book that I'm working on now, and then I could switch over and work on something else. Or even better, if I do 600 words in the first story, and then I go and work on something else, then I can come back to my book, and I feel great about the work that I did. Day that I did vlog about, you can watch, I think it was my last vlog, that I wrote a couple words in my book that I was writing on for Nano, and then I ended up writing a 5,000 word fan fiction, which I know does not go along the guidelines of 2,000 words is my limit, but it was so nice to be able to break off from whatever that was that I was working on and work on something new and kind of turn my brain on to something different, because I feel like working on multiple things at once really helps you focus on the one thing that you're kind of prioritizing, and make little tweaks to it. And there's something you learn from every piece of writing that you write, that it really helps to write something else and then go back to that story. And that leads me perfectly into the fourth thing I learned during this NaNoWriMo, which is that I learned so much about my characters by writing extra scenes that I will never feature in my novel. I don't know what it was. I think because I just needed to get my word count up, and I'm more of like a plantser. Like, I did plot this time around, but not to a great extent. And I really was worried about some of my characters and their relationships with each other, because when my story starts out, they're all established as a, really tight-knit, solid friend group. But I was feeling kind of iffy about some of the characters. So what I did was I went back. Sorry, Cozy is playing in the tree down here. Is that nice, Cozy? Is that nice? Yeah. Anyway, so what I did was I went back and wrote the scene of them meeting each other. Like, the two main best friends meet each other, and then they pull another friend in, and then they meet the love interest. And so I wrote all of those scenes because it helped me exponentially figure out the relationships between these characters. I mean, if you think about it, how you met the most important people in your life says a lot about how you are and the building of your own relationship. So I noticed that that helped me so much to figure out the characters, and then when I go back in for my edits, I can, fix those relationships that they have with each other. And finally, the fifth thing I learned this NaNoWriMo is that I made new discoveries for my story every single day. I guess that's kind of how a first draft works anyway. That's what it's supposed to be, especially if you're a pantser. You're just writing as you go, and you're learning a lot about your characters. But not only did I learn a lot about my characters, but I've learned a lot about my world and everything that happens in it and changes and whatever. And actually, on the last day of Nano, or my last day of Nano, I think I realized that I want all of my story to take place in one location, which is not how I had it before. But luckily, I didn't really write enough description that each of the scenes could be only in their location. So I can kind of switch them around and move them to take place in this one place, which is actually where the climax was going to end up being anyway. But I think it just makes more sense. As far as world building goes, they're kind of enclosed in this space, and it really adds for higher stakes and higher tension between them, and yeah. But along with that, I'm a little worried, because when do the discoveries end? Like, am I going to be coming up with new things for this story up until, release day? I hope not, but that's what I'm trying to figure out now. Is like, okay, so I guess I am just working on the first draft, but hopefully by the end of this I can make some solid decisions, or at least send it out to beta readers who will then help me make these decisions with my story. Yeah, but those are the 5 things that I learned this NaNoWriMo 2019. I won. It feels so amazing, and I'm really excited to see what the rest of the year, and which there isn't much left, but what December and all of next year brings. Please leave a comment below letting me know if you won NaNoWriMo. If you didn't, that's fine too. At least you wrote some words, which is better than none. Also, let me know if there's anything that you learned, or if there's a certain time of day that you write best. Just let me know, and please subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!